talking about the origin of situations.
Yes.
And
yes.
What were your thoughts?
So just to give a little bit of context, the situation talk came out of a question that you had posed many years ago on my original Empire of the Dragon Lotus, and we won't go into that too much, but basically it was about GM prep. What does the GM do? And that got me thinking about what is a game master's, and obviously it's very system dependent. Mm-hmm. You know, what someone does in Sorcerer or does
the other
different
way around, isn't it? Right? I mean, in other words, the way that prep occurs is one of the things that informs how system should go.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes, exactly. Right. That's true. Yeah. How you prepare does inform how the system goes. That's true. Okay. And so one thing that I know I do, I'm an over-preparer when it comes to games. You know, I don't just run a little bit of Sorcerer. I run a lot of Sorcerer. You know, I built this entire paradigm. I don't just run a dungeon. I run a dungeon. Uh-huh. So, and I think that over-preparation is, ironically and maybe hypocritically, over-preparation is something that I tend to point out in other people. You know, they'll say, "Oh, I want to do, I want to run RuneQuest, and I'm worried about this thing," and I'm just like, "Don't worry about the thing. Let them make their characters. Don't throw anything at them. It's too tough, and just have fun with it." But I don't take that advice.
Right. There you are. Right. Then there you are, you know, working out your clan history for the next province over, just in case.
Right. Just in case they go there. And even more so since the last time we talked about this, then I had the experience with the online group, people who just need the distraction and were replaced with D&D, and I just made 99% up as we went. Got me thinking more and more about what is it we're here for in the game, and how we can prepare or can over prepare for that sort of thing. But I feel like, going back to the previous talk, when I said situations are why we role play, we don't necessarily, the talking to a tavern worker is fine. It's fun. It's funny. But that's not really why we're here. People want that heroic moment. And I use heroic in a very classical sense, not necessarily.
I understand what you mean. The word I've been using a lot, although it's just like we were talking about words we overuse. For another one I overuse is agency. The idea is people want agency. They want to be in situations where their decisions are going to flow into the development of events.
Yes, right.
And then they respond to events with some degree of constraint of what's going on, but also some degree of, well, I could do this or that. Or maybe it's a matter of risk. Maybe there's only one thing to do, but you don't know if it's going to work. Right. So whatever, there's a bouncy tension there. So what I think I'm also realizing we should clarify, one thing I don't think either of us is talking with is pure improvisation. What I've talked about, it's been called by others intuitive continuity. And what it means is that you're basically tap dancing in front of players so that whatever they do goes somewhere. And so when you say make it up more as we go and stuff like that, I'm not really talking about that kind of thing, which is in fact a form of control.
Yes,
because whatever they do, it bends wherever you want. And
that's
so
true.
I'm saying I've just discovered in talking with people, as soon as I get away from over-prepped plot, they think I'm talking about that. Right. Their mind slips off and they go way, way, way over there to talk about that stuff. And so let's.
If I want you to
clarify.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I agree, because if I want you to fight the goblin, doesn't matter which road you go down.
Right.
I can make the goblin go anywhere I want.
Or even if you just don't have a goblin in your mind, but you're getting, you're figuring 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's just about time, and bam, now we have the goblin.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's more of a time pacing, an evening pacing, and entertainment playing the crowd kind of pacing.
Right.
That,
yes.
And
that's a great. Yeah. That is a great way. That is a great way to put it. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about. I think probably a little bit along those lines. In that, if you were to break a particular game session down into an hour-long television drama, where would we put commercials? What would we cut out of what goes on in the game, and what would be the 15-minute or 10-minute intervals that people would actually see of the game? And those were the important, or what we think are the important situations that arise.
What I found from watching 90s TV shows, which was sort of when TV wasn't quite yet, they hadn't gone British with their very short seasons and their very powerful arcs yet in America.
Right.
But the talk was in the wind that the order of the episodes was going to matter now.
Right.
That there was going to be, and there was the Babylon 5 thing, and there's the whole notion that maybe instead of just a mess of random episodes that you would get and would go into syndication permanently, that you would be doing a thing with these, and people were sort of retrofitting Star Trek as if it had done that, when of course it hadn't. They were retrofitting it that it did. And so, there people were thinking in these terms. Well, looking at shows back then, and we're going back to the early days of these shows, Next Generation, and then after that, the X-Files.
Right.
And then and the misses are worth looking at too, like Twin Peaks, for example.
Yeah.
When it did it, and then when it falls apart, and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about these, and one thing I noticed was how arbitrary, imposed, and contrived absolutely acceptable plot events can be. Things that people will swallow whole.
Yeah.
Even though, the character who won't say anything because she's afraid of her husband. So the whole first interview with her and her husband has her looking all, squirrely and suppressed.
Yes.
And then 15 minutes from close, or 10 minutes from the close, she shows up ready to talk.
Right. Yes.
And stuff like that. And I started looking at how many of these relied on such things, and it was enormous. The causal activity, the activity of the protagonists, like Mulder and Scully and whatever, was always going to hit a brick wall.
Yeah, true.
But then that has to happen. The thing comes in and signals, okay, now we're on climax. Now it's like, my God, this is like every convention Call of Cthulhu run ever.
Ever. It's true.
So, and so I was thinking about that. It's sort of an anti-player character notion.
Yeah.
You show up and you run around and you roll your skill rolls, you roll your skill rolls, you roll your skill rolls, and you produce your tropes, and you produce your tropes, and you produce your tropes. And then, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's about that time. All right, bam. Now, now the long lost uncle's body is found. Now the document finally gives up its secrets. Now the heretofore impenetrable NPC spills their guts. So,
well, and to a certain degree, and I think that this may be a bit of people mistaking the idea of failing forward is related to that to a certain degree.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that what I think is that people's kind of misalign that in that you're going to get to the end of this adventure no matter how many rolls you fail.
Right, exactly. We're just going to keep going until you hit one, whether it's an investigation roll or a scan roll or an interaction roll or, anything, an intelligence roll. Whatever it is, when you hit it, then it's going to queue.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is that. Well, and I wonder if not just sort of hit me. I wonder if that subverts the idea of situations.
Yes, it
In
does.
some
And
way.
that's why I brought it up. That's exactly why I brought it up, is because to think in these terms means that situational prep and situational play is absolutely window dressing.
Yeah.
It's just furnishings,
Right.
trappings. And
Trappings.
so that's all you've got then. And all of a sudden it doesn't matter. Basically, the showrunner as a whole, and the script writer right here and now, and the director and the production, they're going to make sure that this is going to wrap up.
Yes.
They're going to make sure. If you're playing Picard, all you got to do is fucking be Picard.
Yes, right.
That's all
Be
you
Picard.
have to do. Just be Picard, and or as I like to say, keep rolling, keep doing things. Jesus is coming. Look busy.
Right.
Make your character,
like
keep your
that.
character active,
Right.
and that's all you need to do. It'll happen. So all of this, before I give the wrong impression to anybody, all of this is stated in the negative. This is what we're not talking about doing. Right. We're talking about what if we're going to have situational prep, which actually means unpredictable player characters have agency play.
Right. Exactly.